Welcome back to another episode of Driving Line Builds. Today we finally get to go wheeling this Jeep on some dirt. And that's as far as we got. So unfortunately, right when we started rolling in 4 high and then shift down to 4 low, I knew something was off. It kept popping out of gear in 4 low, didn't really know what was going on, and it just wasn't working. I of course thought right away like, oh my gosh, I lost my transfer case. But fortunately, after crawling underneath the Jeep and giving things a look, it turned out to be the only other thing I could think would have broke. And that is little tiny clips that hold the shifter cable in the bracket. So of course, Mopar only sells 4 of these in a pack at a nice $8 a piece. But I was excited to see that this was the problem and not an actual failing transfer case. But even after replacing the plastic clip, I still noticed it still wasn't shifting properly. And after further inspection, I did notice I was missing 1 of 2 bolts that secure the shifting bracket to the transfer case, which I believe over time caused that bracket to flex and move and then caused it to bend a little bit. So we went ahead while we were there and just bought a whole new bracket assembly, obviously the new clips, and got all of that back together. Additionally, a couple months prior, I was having issues with my transfer case position sensor. This is a 5-position sensor that sits on top of the transfer case. This is what tells the computer what gear you're in. Granted, mechanically it still worked okay, but for electronic side of things, it won't tell the computer if you're in 4 low, if you're running stock lockers, that you can use your lockers and sway bar disconnect for 4 high. In our case, we don't have any of that, but without the sensor working properly, it wouldn't turn off the traction control automatically, and these can throw you into limp mode if they go completely out. Now that that's fixed, we can hopefully actually go wheeling and have 4-wheel drive. Being able to go on the trail just a little bit though with the Jeep gave us a chance to kind of see what was doing what, how our spring rates were doing, and get a feel for the Jeep. Did notice quickly, in my opinion, that our coil rates were a little too soft, as we did decide to go with a 250 over 300 spring rate for the rear, and things were just sagging a little bit too much with a ton of preload on it, and there was just no spring rate on it. I decided to go ahead and order new coils, going with a 300 over 400, still keeping the 12-inch coil on top and a 14-inch coil on the bottom. After making those adjustments, the Jeep felt so much better. Actually had some coil rate on there now, even with running less preload. For now, we're gonna try running that setup and see how it works. So if you haven't noticed already, we did end up installing some new PRP bucket seats in the Jeep. Since this Jeep is designed to go fast, I really wanted something to help secure us and the passengers while going fast and bombing through the desert. So we did end up going with the PRP Enduro Sports. This is a brand new seat from PRP, and we did go with the Crawl Edition. What's really cool about the new Enduros as well is that they are reclining, and they also mount with adapter brackets to the OEM JK sliders. So you don't lose your sliding forward back seat. And again, you do have the addition of the recliner. This makes it super adjustable to get comfortable, especially if you're tall or short, and kind of get the seat where you want it. So due to the new suspension in the rear and the new coilover and bypass towers, it was pretty clear that we were not going to be able to use our OEM rear seat. We did find out that PRP does have a bolt-in bracket system for the rear JK that is designed to mount 2 seats. We're going to mount it up, and we're going to mount this bucket seat just on one side. And then on the opposite side, we're gonna remove the seat brackets so we can have that as a mount for our fridge. For the 4-point harness, we are gonna have to make a crossbar for the rear to mount the upper straps to the bar.
Now that we have our PRP seat in place, we know how much real estate we're gonna take up in the back section here. So now, with that being said, we can actually come into the front here and we can actually make our filler pieces to cover the towers. We do wanna make them removable so we can service the shocks as needed. We already made our back panels, which ties in to the floor, to the inner panel, to our outside panel. So now we regain structure again, so we should be solid here. So now we just have the front piece to make. We have 10 18mm bolts that actually fastens this back seat in. So I would say that it's pretty structurally sound. Let me get these out so we can start working. Before I pull the seat frame out, I'm gonna mark all the landing points on the actual floor. So when I make my inner panels, we don't have any type of interference. I think we could pull it out and start making our inner templates. least it's not a two-door.
Yeah. I'm out of breath.
Get all of our tools out of here. Clean workspace. I'll be crawling in and out of this thing probably 100 times. Now that we're making the templates for the inner panels, it's always good to actually use paper. It's a lot cheaper than using sheet metal. You can actually work with the paper a lot easier, so you're not going back and forth between machinery and trying to roll and bend your material. You can just do it by hand right here on the piece of paper. See if we can do some of that magic real quick. With the templates that I already have cut out, this is what we came up with, so let's see how it fits. Now that we have it actually kind of set into place to where the templates kind of were, we did put some indication marks here. We will add some thread certs to the top, so this can actually be completely removable. I do have a little bit of work here on the bottom, so we can fill the actual floor piece to the actual inner fender well, and once we do that, I'll be able to also make some marks here so we can put a few more thread certs. So this thing's pretty secure and our C-pillar is pretty stout. Before I get too far into this, there's something that's really important that you have to address. Make sure the doors actually close. I don't know if these will.
I think we're good. One little spot. It's like barely right here. Just that edge.
Little nick. Okay. It might be just a little bit more once we actually suck it into place. I think it's to the point I'm cutting it out now. The square's not over here. It's on the welding part.
Oh, that guy.
This guy. Don't be a square. All the metal feels like popsicles this morning. Dirty noodle. I think that the batteries might be dead in my welders. You might be able to see me, but I definitely can't see you guys, so might have been on grind mode. It gives us plenty of tolerance.
So we're gonna go ahead and install these nut certs on top of the panels that are already mounted to the tub. So we're gonna use these long Allen bolts here that are gonna go all the way through the 1x1 on the top panel and into the nut certs. This thing is awesome. You can get it off Amazon. This thing is a lifesaver.
Jeez. Way to start the day. Ooh, we'll do that one more time.
Really?
The weird little, like, fishy. Now that we have our paper templates transferred over to our sheet metal, I'm gonna get ready to cut these out and then we can start shaping them for the inside of the vehicle. Slice and dice. Taking it to the limits. Our first panel cut out, so we'll get the second one out and then we'll shape them up and get the two together and see if they'll fit. We got our template cut out. I do have my bend line here. What I'm gonna do is instead of bending it on the line, I'm gonna come onto the back side of the line, and that'll give me just enough tolerance for the actual bend and roll for the previous piece that I made. Everything's gonna line up nice and neat.
Storm is coming. Feel it
Just a
in
little
the
bit,
air,
but it'll be
echoes
okay
all
then.
around. The world keeps calling.
A better.
Jumping in, feet off the ground. It starts right.
Now that we formed our basic shape for what we need, now we can actually come in and do all the little detailed cuts and little pockets that we need for it to set really nice onto the inside here.
Are you ready for
See if it fits.
clock keeps running? Are we out of time? Floating upside down. It's all or nothing.
With these pieces, we made a break, and what this is going to do, it's going to tie in our actual panel down into our floor. We put a few holes down here. Once we slip this in on the back side, we'll be able to pull it nice and tight, and then we can actually get a few plug welds here to fasten this down to here. Oh yeah, happens once in a great while.
Get ready for it.
Hey Chad,
What's up, buddy?
are you done with the Jeep yet?
I think it's time.
Yay, let's go wheeling. Hurry up! Let's go wheeling!
I think it's about time we get this thing on the road and find some trails.
Thank you for watching this episode of Driving Line Builds. It feels great to finally knock out a lot of these loose ends on the build and getting our front and rear seats all mounted up with the PRP brackets, which I'm really happy with. Everything mounted up really clean and just feels factory. Make sure to stay tuned for episode 7, as this is the final episode of this build series as we take the Jeep out on the trail to do some rock crawling and hopefully bombing in the desert. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Driving Line's channel, and hit that notification button. Until then, keep on building those Jeeps, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching Driving Line. If you guys like this video, consider subscribing to our channel so you'll never miss any of the content we create here. Whether you're into trucks, Jeeps, imports, domestic vehicles, or anything in between, we are here to fuel your passion. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys next time.